What is Gucci? Manucci's. Welcome to the Half Court Podcast. I am Darwin. I got AV behind the camera, and today, I got a special guest. I got the brother, Saul Vaca, right?
Yep.
Okay. Saul is my coworker, good friend of mine, man. Always good vibes. So I was like, hey, brother, hop on the podcast. Let's just have a conversation, man. So welcome to the podcast, brother.
Well, thank you for having me.
You have a lot of history based on the conversations we had. So kind of just introduce yourself and tell the people where you're from.
Well, I was originally born in Bolivia, but I grew up pretty much everywhere, from East Coast to different countries around the world. But for the most part, I think most of my time has been spent between Washington, D.C. and Oklahoma City.
Yeah. Because you grew up in Bolivia, right?
Correct.
To what age to what age?
Till I was about 16, and then I moved to Washington.
And I remember the other day we were having a conversation, and you said in Bolivia you can live with how much? How many?
Well,
like a year?
When my father was, when he retired, we were sending about $300 a month, and that was more than enough for him. So
$300, like U.S. dollars?
U.S. dollars. So the average salary over there per year is somewhere between $6,000 and $9,000 a year.
Yeah.
You know, so it's pretty
Yeah.
affordable to live.
What was it like, man?
Bolivia?
Yeah.
Well, the Bolivia I grew up in is completely different than the new Bolivia that I went to visit a couple years ago. It's changed for sure.
Yeah.
I think back when I was growing up, it was more of one of those places, just like most of like Puerto Rico is pretty similar to
Right.
it, where I mean all the kids are playing out on the streets, and there was nothing to worry about, just about, and it was pretty cheap to live in. There wasn't, there's not that many people that make a whole lot of money, so everything's kind of balanced out to where the people you grow up with they're all about your equal per se financially. So you don't see that financial difference like you would here. But the new Bolivia, oh man,
So what has changed?
over the years, what the big difference that I've noticed is I think narcos, made a big difference.
Narcos?
Oh yeah, because Bolivia is the number one exporter for cocaine. Cocaine is legal in Bolivia.
It's legal.
Correct. It's the traditional leaf for the natives. So in its traditional form, the native Bolivians chew on it to be able to get strength, to be able to just work in the, in the mountains and stuff like that. So it's not something that's frowned upon or anything like that. In its natural form, it's not bad.
It's like pure as fuck. So there's not like they don't put like no baking powder and shit.
No, nothing, none of that.
Oh, so do they have like dispensaries that's like kind of like,
No.
where do you get the coke?
No,
From
you
the
just
farmer, right?
Yeah, you just go to a little farmer's market, pick out a little bag, and just start chewing on it, or you make.
You chew on it.
Yep.
You don't sniff it.
You chew on it, or you make tea out of it. It's like a coca leaf tea, essentially.
Interesting.
So
man.
they don't necessarily use it like as a like in America, like
recreational.
party, fucking
Yeah.
let's get twacked out and just do crazy shit.
Recreational. It's interesting, man, because it's like you're probably either the first. Yeah, I would say the first Bolivian like that I know.
Yeah, it's not like that many of us.
Exactly. So I think that's a good thing, because it's like you're rare. It's like, you know what I'm saying.
So Bolivia, and then where was Pablo from?
Pablo
Colombia.
Escobar, Colombia.
Yeah.
Colombia.
Yeah. So
There's
essentially,
no relation there, or there's no.
No, my brother's named Pablo.
He's met him.
No. His name is Pablo too.
Oh,
so.
okay.
No, but going back to what we were talking about, essentially what's changed is that since the leaf is pretty much free to produce, free to grow, and a lot of the natives or farmers grow it, the narcos from Mexico or Colombia end up taking trips to Bolivia, and they just stop the farmers, and they're like, how much for that truck? And they'll give them $200,000
So
on the spot.
would you say the cocaine is a big chunk of Bolivia's economy?
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah.
So what's happened is this little farmer all of a sudden's got $200,000. They would never see in their lifetime, and then you have this economy that it's created this economy where you have the average person that makes the average living, and then you have all these people that are making money either from businesses that came from narcos or money that came from one way or another from this industry, but it's a huge gap. You know, you have somebody driving down the road on a Ferrari, and then the average person drives a little $2,000 car that they spend all their, you know, lifetime savings.
Over there, it's either the high or the low. It's not no middle.
Yeah, there's no middle. It's either you're rich or you're poor. There's no definitive middle class like you see here.
Right.
So
Okay.
And all the rich are basically narcos and
that, or from families that did something to do with the narco industry. And Bolivia is not a place where you see like in Mexico, you see a lot of documentaries or even the films that where you see narcos on the streets and they're, you know, they have guns. You don't see that. Over there, it's more in the behind the scenes because most of that happens in the forest, in the jungle, and that's
what I picture when you talk about like Bolivia. I picture like forest and like a lot of, you know, a jungle kind of thing.
There's 3 different terrains per se. You have the tropical area, which is Santa Cruz, and then you have the valleys, which is Cochabamba, and then the mountains, which is the capital, La Paz. And La Paz is up there. And La Paz is 3,000 feet above sea level.
That's what we were talking about over there in Bolivia. The altitude, how
it's 3,000 feet above sea level. It's the highest city in the world.
So we talk about Denver being like when NBA players you go to play against the Nuggets, like they struggle a little bit because of the altitude. But that is like what 5 times the you know, the altitude is the highest. Like when you were mentioning that when you fly, the plane keeps going up and up, and you feel like it's never
ending.
Yeah,
and then you feel it right away as soon as you get off the plane. You're like. You feel like you can't breathe. Even the cars struggle a little bit to turn on just because there's not enough oxygen to fire up the engines. So, and then same thing with humans. It would take a day or 2 for you to
get adapted
to it. Like when soccer players from other countries come to play the Bolivian team, almost always they lose whenever they are playing them.
So it's an advantage for Bolivia, like as far as sports goes.
Basically.
because they don't have time to adjust. They get there and then they got to play basically.
Exactly.
So you were there for how long? Because you said you were till 16, right? So it's pretty much 16 years.
16 on and off, you know, in between.
Back and forth?
Yeah, back and forth. But
So how you were born in Bolivia?
Born and raised.
How'd you get your status?
To move to the U.S.?
Yeah, like how'd you get your papers and shit?
My grandfather actually is someone that designed the metro train in Washington, D.C., and he was an engineer at that time back in the 70s, 80s, and his plane crashed in the Potomac River. And when he crashed, he was one of the few survivors because the plane landed right underneath the ice. So even when people got out of the plane, they still couldn't make it past the ice. So when he died, he didn't die. He had stitches, and he was on a coma for a very long time.
Your dad?
My grandfather.
Your grandfather?
So he had to get, my grandma had to get an emergency visa to be able to care for him and be with him. So that kind of set the motions for my aunt to move, and then my grandma, aunt, and then her husband, and then eventually they stayed here, and then they got a visa for it, and then my cousins ended up being born here, and then little by little, the rest of the family started migrating to Washington, D.C. So I'm what you would consider a third-generation Bolivian, but I was actually born over there. But my family's been here for probably since the 70s.
So why did they choose Washington?
Because that's where he was working at that time. And then, when you first fly in, Washington, D.C., and at least in that time, it was... it was thriving. It was one of those places that it was like New York City, California, that was just up and coming, and there was jobs and there was all kinds of things and growth. So they ended up settling for there. And then my family didn't end up getting the visa until 96-ish.
Yeah.
It took them about 10 years to be able to...
Because as of right now, you're a citizen of Bolivia, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, but I'm a U.S. resident, but a citizen of Bolivia. They don't have dual citizenship, so I got to pick one or the other.
And you choose?
Well, right now it's Bolivian citizenship and a U.S.
Do you plan
residency.
on switching over to a U.S. citizen?
I was. What held me back for so long is because my father still lived in Bolivia, and they didn't have dual citizenship. So I knew that his health wasn't the best. So if anything happened, I had to jump on a plane and go. But now that he passed away a couple years ago, now I'm probably going to make the switch. I just haven't gotten around to it.
So you can't just hop on if you're a resident.
Yeah, if you're a resident of the United States and you become a citizen, you have to give up Bolivian citizenship. So
But you can still go though, right?
you can go, but I have to apply as a tourist.
Right. So
What?
how long do you have like as a
You have
tourist?
to apply as a
Yeah,
tourist.
depends on the visa and the type of
That's
when you make the
interesting.
application.
That is interesting.
Because
I didn't know that.
or were you planning on like maybe getting some properties or something?
We have
or
my father's house is still out there, so I still have some business to take care of. I don't necessarily see me migrating there or doing anything just because my kids are here and
Right.
everything. So it's just, but I still kept it because I didn't want to give that up and be able to just like my brothers. They're both citizens, but they both had trouble whenever we were going to Bolivia and even leaving Bolivia because they're considered foreigners, even though they're from Bolivian roots.
that is quite the case, huh? With that is, yeah, it's a hard one, but I think the U.S. citizenship, because like you said, is your kids are here, and so you stayed in Washington for how long?
I mean, I would say on and off because I went to school there. I went to college there, and then ended up moving to Oklahoma when my ex-wife got stationed here.
Yeah.
And that's how I ended up here the first time.
So explain to the people the difference when it comes to, because the cost of living over there is pretty high.
Oh,
So
it's super
lifestyle,
Lifestyle, like what's the lifestyle over there in Washington? And
high. So
and the adjustments you had to make to fucking fit in with this
Yeah.
bullshit over here.
So there's a two-part. So like the first time that I moved to Oklahoma, it was back in 2003. And when I moved here, when I first got here, I was like, oh man, there's nothing to do. I was at that
what
time.
year you got here?
2003.
2003. Okay.
So at that time, I was DJing. I mean, I was having a full-blown career with DJing. I had a satellite radio with XM radio. I was doing different things, and I had a record deal. So
See, he's one of us, bro. He's all over the place.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
he'll do
I'll do everything.
Yeah.
So
man.
you DJ at like clubs or?
Yeah, I DJed at clubs and a lot of music festivals, or I'm in the EDM scene. So back then it
okay.
wasn't as big or popular as it is today. But
Did you ever DJ at Robotic Wednesday?
I have actually.
Yeah?
I know all of them.
Yeah.
I know just about every DJ in the city actually.
Hell yeah.
That's tight.
But yeah, so I've been around that scene even back then. But when I first got here, I was involved heavily in music and cars. So when I first got to Oklahoma, as a cultural shock coming from Washington, D.C., I was like, man, there's no cars. There is no nothing. But it's there. You just have to look for it.
Exactly.
So I started digging in. I started going to the clubs, meeting people, and I found out that there's a good scene here. And same thing with cars. So I started going out. And actually, I had a rude awakening when it comes to cars because back then I had a Mazda RX-7, a twin turbo one. And I had a decent amount of power. I had modded it, but for Washington, D.C. standards, because everything has to be road legal and you have to pass emissions and inspections, I thought my car was pretty fast. So when I got here, I show up, and there's cars over there. I was like, man, my car is fast. Let's see what they got. I see these muscle cars rolled up, or these import cars, and they were running like 1,000 horsepower, 1,500 horsepower. Like
And yours were
mine was like 550, 600.
Oh.
So 500 back then was a lot of power in Washington, D.C., but I didn't realize that Oklahoma had a scene of their own. And
Yeah, Oklahoma's one of the top car
motherfuckers,
huh?
Oh, yeah. Oklahoma has one of the fastest.
There's a shop you said, right?
There's a few shops here in town.
There was one that did like a show or something that we were talking about.
The Street Outlaws, yeah.
Yeah.
Steve-O cuts up one of the guys on there.
Yeah,
I think one of them just had a wreck like a couple weeks ago. That guy that Steve-O cuts up, I guess he was racing and fucking crashed or something.
See, that's the thing, man. And then it like with when it comes to the car scene, it's like
that's some adrenaline, bro.
It's some adrenaline, and it's as dangerous because I'm like, man, I want a bike, but that's dangerous.
Yeah. It's one of those
cars
things you
too
can't,
are dangerous, you know.
you can't make a mistake. Like think
That's
about
the
how many
thing.
times you've gotten into an accident or a wreck or a fender bender. If you're in a motorcycle,
You're
might
done.
not be here.
There's
You're
no
done.
seatbelt. There's no
Yeah.
seatbelt, and
So-
like the thing with that is like even if you survive, because like
You're gonna get fucked up.
yeah, you're gonna get all like your. I've seen it. I've
Yeah.
seen it. Like oh man, like yeah.
Cool
So
on it. Even like going fast, man. That's to me like I have friends that have fast cars, and I'm just like they're like let's go for a what do they call it, a drag or whatever the fuck. I'm like I guess, bro. Let's go. And the whole time I'm just like, man, I want to get back because.
No, for sure. Because the thing with that, bro, is like if you guys hit something, your body tends to fly. So if you're going like 100 miles per hour and you hit something, your body's gonna fly out twice the speed. So you're gonna be fucking flying.
You gotta love that shit.
Yeah. So when it comes to the cars, you're into the racing stuff, or what is it that you're into when it comes to the cars?
Well, I like modifying the cars. I like taking it from a stock form and then changing it to what I like. I envision every car that I get, and I'm like, okay, I have this vision. This is the way I want it to look, and I want to modify it and take it, through the progress. And I mean, I can't even tell you how many cars I had. I was actually counting on the way here. I was like, let's see if we talk about cars, how many cars I've had. And I think I've had 9 or 10. If I'm not missing a few of them. So, and throughout
each of those cars you've been doing something.
It's more like a hobby. So I take the car as stock, and then I'm like, okay, I want it to look like this.
That's expensive, though.
It is. It does get expensive. In fact, one of my friends were.
We just start because the first thing when you get a car, you want to start. The first thing is the rims.
Wheels, exhaust,
the rims. Yeah, and then you go from there.
Yeah, you gotta lower it, and then you're like, okay, I gotta get a little more power out of it, and then. Power is addicting because you're like, okay, maybe I can get more and then more and then more, and you start tuning it and then putting bigger turbos, and it can add up.
Yeah, man. I like if you go to Puerto Rico, man, you're gonna see a lot of Puerto Rico. They love Japanese cars, so they like your Corollas, your like Mitsubishi Lancers. You're gonna see a lot of those, and it's beautiful because it's like, damn, that motherfucker went from stock to that, like. The modifications that they put to it, like I go over there and I get motivated, but then I come over here, I'm like, do I really want to spend money on that? Like, do I really want to spend money on that? Because I like it, but it's like not to like my pockets are like, nah, you good, bro. I'm like, all right, bet, I'm good.
So the car scene was one that you said was a big change because that's what we were talking about, the change.
Music was different. Now here, when I first got here, the music scene was. There was a few spots here and there that you would go and you knew it was underground because like it was just like, okay, here's a flyer, come through. You know what I mean? But it wasn't like, oh, this club, blah, blah, blah. So when I first got here, there was a lot of spots and there was a lot of local DJs that were like very passionate about the music. You had your drum and bass DJs, you had your house music DJs, breakbeats DJs, and so different genres, and they all kind of got together because it was such a small scene. But it was nice to be able to see that they were just true DJs that were passionate about what they did. Whereas
about music in
general. Where I came from Washington, D.C., and over there, the hype was a little larger, the clubs were bigger, so the marketplace was bigger. So a lot of the DJs were either there for the money, they were there for the women, or drugs, or they were there just because they gave them a title or a fame of some sort, or a name that they could just be like, oh yeah, that's me. I
used to DJ at this club or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
So you had different cats that did it for different reasons, but here it was nice to see that everybody was very passionate about the music they either produced or the craft that they did.
So you said this is like 2003ish.
2003ish.
So what was Bricktown looking like back then?
Bricktown.
You don't remember?
It's changed a lot.
2003. I was in what fucking.
You were probably too.
Bro. I remember 2003. I was probably in the car listening to like 10.
How old were you?
104. I don't know. I'm bad at math.
You're
putting on the spot like that, man.
You just turned 26.
Yeah, 26. So 2003. I don't know.
Hey,
anyways, back then I was probably listening to 103, 104.9, like Club Albee, because they'll do the remote when they go over there and like they'll be on the radio for a little bit, and so that's probably what I was listening to back then.
What radio station did you work for?
I worked at GMU Radio, which is
here.
At George Mason University in Virginia, and then XM Radio on Channel 80. We had a show called the Launchpad. And that's exactly what we did. We took DJs that were up and coming, and then we just showcased them to kind of give them a little jump start.
That's dope.
So
how long you did that?
I did probably the 2 to 3 years, my last 3 years in college, and right before I moved here. And when I moved here, I actually did it for another year or so before that show ended, and then I just, went to DJ downtown, and I published a couple mix tapes as well, and then we were on that. But
Wait, did you answer my question? What was popping in 2003?
No, you asked how was Bricktown?
How was Bricktown?
Okay.
Bricktown, when it came to dance music or EDM, the only place that was really doing something was City Walk.
City Walk. See, I remember hearing City Walk.
Yep. They had a club in the back called Boogie Nights, and there was a couple of DJs that worked there that all they played was electronic music. So looking around to different clubs, I feel like that was the only one that was kind of mainstream that you were able to go and listen to underground dance music, in a mainstream club. Most of the other places were either underground one-time events or just somebody's warehouse that just, they just rented for the night or the weekend, and that was that.
Okay.
So, but...
So it's grown. It's cool.
Yeah.
I mean, now there's more clubs downtown.
Yeah, I mean, I think everywhere now. You go to Norman, too. You go to Midtown.
Well, the whole Robotic Wednesday thing here in Oklahoma, I think that was big for the EDM people because
that was huge. I think before Robotic Wednesdays, there used to be a club called the Church, if I remember correctly. It was on Classen. That was actually a church. If I remember the name of the guy, Jeremy Dawson was actually one of the DJs that put that together, and then Ed Crunk, which is another cat that's around. But Jeremy Dawson's actually one of the it's one of the band members of Shiny Toy Guns, which a lot of people don't know. They're actually from here, from Oklahoma City. But they're the ones that did that back in the days, and that was there was a couple clubs also that did their thing back then, but it was purely underground. Like when you see videos or clips of underground raves where you get a little flyer and you call this pager, and the pager you meet somebody and then somebody takes you to another place and they had to kind of check you to make sure you weren't a cop or anything like that. That was like, that's how it was.
Damn.
Yeah.
On some fucking
organized partying, man.
Yeah.
So
no
like,
party poopers and shit.
See, that's the thing. It's crazy how like music and then like cars bring people together like that. Like there's a group on Facebook and it's called like I don't know what it's called, but they organize a whole route around the city.
Oh, they go crazy,
They take over in intersections. So like they'll block off the intersection and then there'll be a car, like two
doing
cars
donuts
in the middle.
and shit. Yeah.
But I'm like, bro, that takes a lot of like organizing.
Yeah, and then like for the people to like show up and like I've seen some videos, man, and they go crazy.
And, and that's the power of social media. And you got to remember, back then there was no social media. So if you wanted to know what was going on as far as a party
and stuff,
or even a street race of some sort, you had to know somebody that knew somebody.
Yeah.
And you have to be in the know, and they had to know you to let you in the scene.
See, those groups, anybody can get in those groups. It's crazy.
No, it's crazy. Yeah,
risky.
It's crazy times, man. So we talked about the cars and stuff. Are you a cool dad?
I would say so.
Because I feel like you stay young. That's what I like. That's what I like about you, man. You stay young. You stay trying new things out, and like, you're not afraid to do stuff in general. So like, your son is how old?
He's 15.
15. And he likes chilling with you and like.
Oh yeah, we work on the car together.
And y'all have the same, like he likes cars too?
Oh yeah.
That's fucking crazy.
Yeah, he got the car gene from me.
Yeah.
Then my middle child, he is more into music.
Yeah.
And then my daughter, she's
still
trying to figure out what she likes, but probably music is one of her.
Yeah. That's crazy. So you think you were born like with like liking the cars, or do you think it was just something that you just saw a car and you were like, I want to customize this car? And like, how did that like?
According to my mom, it started at an early age. She bought me a bunch of toys, but I was always kind of driven to cars, and I started learning the car parts, the engines, and what it does. And my mom says I would talk to her and have long conversations about what I was going to do to the car, and she not knowing what I was talking about. And then I was like 2 and 3, and I see pictures that I have where I had like mountains of little toy cars growing up. So I think that passion just came at an early age. The music, I think, came from my father. He had a huge record collection. The only thing that kind of was different from his music collection and mine is that his music collection was mostly like classic rock, soft rock, Spanish rock, or classical music. And he had a little bit of disco records, and that was the only thing with a beat that I enjoyed. So I was like, all right, let me pull these records out. So I made a little corner section with all the disco records, and I would always pull them out and play them. And I think that was just a good segue to get me interested in something that was dance related. And from disco, I evolved into house music, and then from house music, evolved into like different genres of electronic music. And throughout the years, I've liked it all, but I'm always driven towards that genre of music for some reason. Kind of what he was saying earlier about how it attracts all kinds of people. You know what I mean?
Music
and I think
and cars.
Yeah, that's what it drew me to electronic music, because you got to remember Washington, D.C. is one of those places where it's a melting pot. You have people from all over the world, literally. Like you could spin a globe, put your finger on it, and you'll probably find a restaurant from that country. That's how you know, how much variety there is. So I noticed when I was involved in music and I was kind of testing different music styles, I noticed that they were very secluded. So you had your hip hop music and you had your very hip hop underground, you know, and then you had your top 40 and you had different genres, but they were very divided with the, you know, certain racial profile, if you will. But when I went to an underground house party or electronic rave of some sort, there was everything, every shade of color.
You see Asians, you see fucking white kids, black
kids. I mean, you
everything.
name it, there was there. And they were like the misfits, you know. They were the kids that didn't belong to any other crowd, but somehow felt united by the music. You know, kind of like what happens with cars, but with music, it's more definitive. You could see the difference. You know, you could see that all these people did not care. And it's not like when you go to a hip-hop club, everybody's bumping and grinding and everything else, and you have to wear the, you know, the freshest clothes and things like that. You don't have that with house music. When you go to electronic music party, at least back then, you just kind of were whatever, and then you just dance, and, you know, you dance by yourself, and you know, and that was that. You enjoyed the music.
People had the light things.
The glow sticks, the lights.
I always picture like just tank tops and shorts and just
it was just
colorful glasses, sunglasses, and like, I went to a couple of them in Puerto Rico, and it was cool. I went to one that they do. I don't know. They don't do it anymore here, but it was Life in Color. I went to a couple of those.
Well, that's probably like what it evolved into, huh? Because they fucking went crazy, like.
Oh, yeah.
And no, it's big. I mean, you got your what? Is it Deadmau5?
Deadmau5.
You got your Martin Garrett.
Martin Garrett.
Yeah, you got
youngest DJ.
Afrojack.
Is that what that? Well, the only one I remember is fucking It was
Skrillex.
Skrillex. He's still
he's still around. Skrillex
Yeah.
kind of took dubstep and blew it up to where it is today. Deadmau5, he's one of the guys that.
Oh, Marshmello too.
Yeah, Marshmello.
Like big, man. These people are big, and it's like. Yeah, they don't like right now. I mean, I don't know how the hell they're doing.
You think they be all drugged out? Cause
probably.
Yeah.
Because you gotta like, bro, you gotta keep that high intensity, like that high energy. Like you're up there in a stage and you're just swinging these plates and
all
stuff.
this shit is live,
and then you see your crowd. Bah, bah, you gotta be like, boom, boom. Like,
is all that shit live? Like when they're like up there fucking, they're actually mixing it right there and then? Or?
Well, what they do is they mix the music, and you have to know how to program, if you will, your music. Because, I mean, you could throw records one after another, and it doesn't make sense. So, like, I think the beauty of the DJ is where a DJ knows how to read the crowd. And it's different than with hip-hop or any other genre of music, because like a top 40 DJ will just play the current hits, and, and everybody's going to be, you know. But with dance music, it's different because most of the music is usually either underground or it's not mainstream. So whenever you are actually DJing, you have to learn to read the crowd, and you have to make them feel something. So there's that connection, that feeling, okay, I'm feeling, you know, angry today. So it's gonna, all my set is gonna reflect that. But you have to
rage today.
Right, but you have to learn to read the crowd. And I think that's the biggest difference from like old school DJs and new school DJs. Old school DJs had that craft. They were able to read the crowd and put the music and build a sound, like orchestra, if you will, with different songs that they put together. It wasn't just throwing one song after another. A lot of the new DJs are kind of like that. I mean, if you notice nowadays, Shaq is a DJ, Snoop is a DJ.
So what you're saying is like a real DJ cuts like certain little parts from this one, and then mixes it all to be one.
It's creating a sound, an emotional, creating different emotions through sound is the best way I can describe it. because with dance music, if you think about it, it's mostly boom, 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 boom. It's just a beat, right? So where the skill of the DJ comes into place is to be able to build a musical scheme, if you will, for an extended period of time that is not going to get you bored or be like, okay, I'm tired of this song. I don't know if you notice when somebody plays salsa like for 2 hours straight, you're like, oh my God, I can't take it.
Yeah.
Right?
Switch it.
Or, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But when you're doing house music, you can't change it. So you have to be able to build that and be able to
those parties are usually, 2 hours long?
They can go from 2 hours to days, really.
Those are, bro. Yeah. Like, those are... It's cool, bro. I fucks with it. Like, I haven't been to one in a cool last minute, and I'd be down to go to one because it's the energy, the music, the beat, everything. I think it's a unique experience.
I think it has to do. It's more of that tribal connection that you have with your like. If you think about it, like a lot of tribes back in ancient times, they all chant. They had that chant, that boom, 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 boom. Like, so if you think about it, it's embedded in our DNA one way or another. Like our ancestors had
what do they call them? Pues sí, como danzas, like the matachines.
Yeah. They all do. Like
they became down sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, if you go to the, I think it's Bali, they have like a ritual, like they'll greet some tourists and they do like a cool little dance. Like they have like white things and like it's crazy. It's cool. It's cool. Like they go down.
Yeah. Native Americans do it. I mean, every culture you can think of, like in their most ancient form, they have some sort of tribal beat and drum, kick drum beat. You know what I mean? So it in a way, I feel like it connects you to some part of you that is embedded in your DNA. You know what I mean? And then you just add the different sounds that just make you feel different things. So that's why I felt such a strong connection with electronic music, because it connects you in a different way than any other music does. Like it's not like house. It's not like
it doesn't have words, right? Most of it doesn't have words.
No,
it
just builds up. It's just a buildup of sounds and emotions that it makes you feel. And growing up, I was like, man, this gives me the chills.
So about sound. What do you think about the whole 440 hertz? And then 442, if you know about that whole shit.
Man,
yeah, I've heard about it. So it's supposed to be some a frequency that is supposed to connect you in a different level mentally of some sort, and but no, I haven't done much research on it, to be honest with you.
Okay.
But I've seen YouTube videos where you could play that for an extended period of time and it's supposed to just relax you.
Yeah. So basically, like the XXXTentacion. He has a video where he's talking about it, and he's talking about he can basically control the way that people feel and the way that people. And then the guy, Academics, is actually interviewing him. He's like, "But what do you mean?" He's like, "Literally through the sound waves, bro. Like if you listen to the music at 440, it's like you feel more you'll feel weird. You know what I'm saying? And if you listen to it at 442, it's like more relaxing." And then they even have
that's so weird.
They have like a video where like it's an app where you switch it on and off, and it does sound different. I mean, I don't know how true it is, but I'm like,
it's true because it does something to you in a psychological level. Like a lot of people don't realize this, but colors have the same effect on people.
Yeah.
Like for example, whenever you go to a jail and they have like a jail cell of some sort, and there are specific colors for a reason. They're supposed to calm people down, and they're supposed to, get you in a calmer mood. Same thing with different smells. Smells trigger different things in your brain. There was something that I saw too, that like even the taste, like ice cream is a very, very strong taste. Like ice cream will bring memories from people from their childhood. So like there's even something in the military where they give the troops ice cream to be able to you get them to feel better, you know what I mean, about whatever they're doing. So taste, smell, and sound are very powerful.
Wow. It's, that is interesting as hell, man. All that.
And
I
it's
didn't even
wild,
think
bro,
about it.
that's how basically, I'm going to get on my Eddie Bravo shit, but that's how they, like, control us. Like,
man.
Because through sound, bro, like, we listen to music, everybody listens to
we're, like, hypnotizing shit.
Speaking of which, so when I worked at the radio, JMU Radio, I learned a little bit about commercials. Now, my radio time actually goes back to when I was in Bolivia. When I was a kid, my mom knew that I enjoyed making music and doing all this kind of stuff. So she got me to go to the radio station after school to learn things. And back then, like there was no digital stuff. CDs were the closest thing to digital. Everything was either records or they had the reel tapes. So whenever you had to clip sounds together, you literally had to grab a reel tape and then cut it and stick it together, kind of like you do on a digital on a program, but actually cut the tape. But believe it or not, actually back then, whenever they did commercials, they did subliminal messages. So, like for example, even in the digital form, you can record something that says "buy more from Target," and then stretch it out. Put it on top of whatever your commercial is, and then you change the frequency, and you will not be able to hear it like just by listening to it. But subliminally, it's there. So they do that, and they've actually banned things from doing that because it's frowned upon, because it will trigger subliminally for you to do something, whatever the message is or whatever commercials that they're trying to come across. So they've actually banned that. But there's even there's videos where you can actually play records backwards that will have different messages. Shit. Yeah. So that's the thing. You can manipulate the sounds the very same way you could do pictures, the very same way you could do videos.
If you really listen, like think about it. For example, like Travis Scott, that's a perfect example. I'm pretty sure if Travis Scott just raps and it's cool, but what makes it cool is that he knows how to engineer his voice to sound like squeaky where he wants it, or like that's what makes the fucking whole orchestra, go
makes
crazy.
him
top 40 music in general is like that.
Is it me? It feels a little cold in here.
Does it?
Yeah. Do you feel cold?
I'm good.
I don't know. I feel cold. But speaking of like hypnotized and all that good jazz, I've been watching a lot of conspiracy theories, and I should stay away from it. But there was one that said that the CIA has some method to hypnotize you. Like if they want to get somebody to kill somebody, they have some method to hypnotize you. So like, for example, they were talking about the, what's the name of Kennedy's brother? That he got assassinated.
JF Kennedy?
And no, not his brother.
Okay.
So his brother got assassinated by a guy. He doesn't remember till this day. He's rotting in jail right now, but he supposedly doesn't remember, and they say that it's all a CIA thing. Do you think that's a thing?
I don't know.
I don't know, man. These people.
I mean, there's all kinds of conspiracy theories. I mean, when we're at work, we talk about the Mandela effect,
Yeah. Talk about that, the Mandela effect.
Mandela effect. So Mandela
That's what I was telling you, AV, the Mandela effect.
Mandela effect. Okay.
So Mandela effect is, do you know anything about it?
I don't know anything about it.
It's called Mandela effect because do you know who Nelson Mandela is, right?
No.
So he is a political figure in Africa.
Okay.
Kind of like Martin Luther King, is in
Malcolm
that realm.
X,
in that realm of people.
Okay.
So a lot of people in history know that they remember that he died in jail, and then the other half of the population remember that he died of natural causes. So there's
two stories.
It's one of those things that you're like, oh yeah, I remember this, but that's not how it happened. So there is different websites that actually have been triggering the different Mandela effects, or have been what is it called? Just gathering all the Mandela effects that they can think of. And there's some crazy ones. Like, for example, so imagine something that you remember vividly.
Yeah.
Like, growing up, you're like, okay, yeah, that's how I remember it. And then you get shown a video and you're like, wait a minute, that's not how it is. My whole life, I thought it was this way. That's what a Mandela effect.
Like Looney Tune. Like, that was one he gave me an example, and I was like, I remember it with the two O's, Looney Tunes, not the T-U-N-E.
Yep.
And it turns out it's with T-U-N-E instead of T-O-O.
And this whole time you thought it was...
I was like, what?
One.
Yeah, that's the Mandela effect.
Yeah, there's some crazy ones.
I was like, what?
Yeah, so check this out. So, Star Wars, right? What's the most iconic phrase from that?
Luke, I am your father.
Right?
Yeah.
You see it on T-shirts.
Yeah.
I mean, you even automatically recall it.
Exactly.
So if you go back and play the movie, doesn't matter if it's the old school VHS, DVD, it doesn't matter. He never says that.
No, dude.
He says, no. He says, no, I am your father. So that's a Mandela.
So where does the Luke come from? Like, Who the hell?
Are you serious, bro?
Right?
Yeah.
Stop playing, man.
So
I'm gonna call my sister right now. She's a Star Wars geek.
She is?
Yeah, she is.
There's
ask her that. Ask her that question. That's perfect.
Let's see.
Ask her that question.
Hopefully
Bro.
she answers.
There's so many of them.
Man, yeah, put it close to the mic on speaker.
Let me see.
That'd be hilarious.
Yeah.
Luke, I am your I am your father?
No, I'm your father.
I gotta watch it. I'm not a big Star Wars fan, but I do remember that. Like
yeah.
it was
Hey,
yesterday.
Lizzie, I'm on the podcast right now.
Hey, what's up, Lizzie?
Okay, so you're a big Star Wars geek. What's the most iconic line from that movie?
There's a lot of them.
Oh,
The one from Darth Vader.
the one that the most like people probably would say is the Luke, I am your father. Is that what he says? Luke, I am your father.
No, he doesn't say Luke. He just says, I am your father.
Oh, she's a nerd.
See, she knows. But do you see that? Like, you remember being something else. She remembers something else. You remember something else.
Yeah.
That's what a
Yeah.
Mandela effect is.
That's because we were talking about the Mandela effect, and he said that was one. So yeah, I just wanted to see, because I was like, no fucking way. Everybody says, Luke, I am your father.
real.
But he says, you can watch the movie, and he never says that.
Yeah, no, it's just like, just with the same. But no, he doesn't ever say that.
Oh, that's-
See?
okay,
that's
cool.
dope.
I just wanted to
Thank
confirm
you.
with a Star Wars geek.
So,
All right, bye.
That is.
yeah.
Love you.
What was the other one you were gonna
There's
say?
a few of them. Another one that's pretty.
So see, that's trippy as hell.
That's trippy as hell.
So, what's that movie? Something of the Lambs, or where Hannibal Lecter. One of the phrases that everybody remembers is "Hello, Clarice," right? I don't know if you've ever seen that movie.
I've never seen it, but
It's probably a little
I'll look
older.
into it because I'm about to look
But-
into this.
So, "Hello, Clarice" is another iconic phrase in Hollywood, where Hannibal Lecter, whenever he sees this girl, says "Hello, Clarice." Everybody remembers that movie for that phrase, but he never says that. He says, "Hello, good morning," and that's it. Another one is.
So why do people do that?
So
It's a brain thing. It's,
no. So
is it?
Here's the thing. There's multiple.
me, it's like-
there's multiple.
Is what you
Multiple
remember.
theories. So, but it's weird because, how can you divide
Like, where did I
an
get the?
entire world population that remember one thing and then you have another one that remembers something else? So a lot of people talk about government, conspiracy theories where they've changed the past and the present and things like that. Looking online, I saw a lot of time travel conspiracies where time travel is it's a thing.
Tell them this one. So, if you go to space, right? You travel to space.
Oh yeah.
That one's an interesting one too.
If you're an astronaut and you go on space to work on, satellites or whatever the case might be, so Earth travels around 1,400 miles an hour, give or take. Your satellite has to travel faster to be able to keep up.
Okay.
But because you are traveling faster than the speed of Earth, you actually age differently than when you were on Earth. So those astronauts are, 2 or 3 seconds younger than someone that's on Earth.
How
So-
many seconds?
2 or 3.
2 or 3 seconds.
It might be.
That don't even
yeah.
make no fucking difference.
Look at it.
but still,
Like-
motherfucker, I'll be 3 seconds younger than you, man.
But think about
I'll
it.
take it, shit.
And think that in perspective, though. So if you ever travel 14 or 1,500 miles and shave 3 seconds of, the way you age, just multiply that times maybe 3,000 miles. Okay, that's 6 seconds. Or imagine traveling faster than the speed of light or sound, breaking the sound barrier.
Yeah,
it can make
adds
a
up.
big,
It
it
can-
adds up. It can make a
Yeah,
difference.
yeah.
Problem is that our genes can't stay together long enough when you start going faster than the speed of sound. So that's the problem.
So is that whole shit Elon Musk is doing gonna work?
He's definitely in the right direction, but I think we don't have enough technology yet. We're getting there with SpaceX and what he's trying to do. He's teamed up with NASA, but I think we're far away from that because we don't know what the fuck is up there.
That's what the conspiracy theory talks about. It talks about that time travel, apparently it's a thing, and it's been around for a while, but it's been tested by the military. And every time that somebody travels back and forth or however it happens, it creates a ripple in our reality. So every time something like that happens, so every time somebody changes something so drastically, it creates a Mandela effect. At least that's my theory, because that's the only way you could explain that, something, like a movie scene or something that everybody remembers can change, like just like that.
Yeah.
There's a couple of them.
Trippy as hell.
What is that movie with Forrest Gump?
Is it
Life? Is it life? What's the sentence on the phrase? You know it?
What is it?
On
is it Jenny? Is it Jenny?
No, life is like a box of chocolates, or life was like a box of chocolate.
Life is.
What are we saying? I don't even know what the fuck we're talking about.
We're talking about a movie.
Brain fuck.
The movie. Is it the one that Run Forest?
Run Forest, yeah. The
Forrest Gump?
Yep.
Yeah.
What line are we talking about? Forrest Gump?
The most iconic.
The
iconic line.
I love you, Jenny?
No.
Or what am I talking about?
Life, like
Life's like a box of chocolates.
Right. So
Which one was it? What are the two options?
It's life was like a box of chocolates.
It's not like
But
is?
everybody remembers life is like a box of chocolates.
Because I think even the WWE, when they did the whole recreation of movies, I think they said like. That's crazy. See, now we got to stop this, man. I'm over here.
Oh, shit. That is, man.
There's a bunch of them.
Yeah.
Another one is like, we were talking about JF Kennedy when he got assassinated.
Bro, that one, oh my God. Like,
So
I'm brain fucked at this point.
So apparently when he got assaminated, a lot of people remember.
Okay. JF Kennedy, right? Yeah. Let me ask you this. I'm going to keep brain fucking you even more. He got assassinated.
Okay.
The limo.
Yes.
What do you remember from the limo? And how many people were on there?
I know his wife ran away because there's a picture where it says,
right?
I know
she
that
was
one.
dipped. Okay, so his wife, right?
Yeah.
And then the driver and maybe, I don't know.
So total, like what you can remember, how many people total? Four.
Maybe?
4 people.
Okay.
That's what I remember.
That's what I remember
Yeah.
too.
So, yep. But when you look up, you can Google JF Kennedy.
It was just him,
assassination
his wife, and
limo.
the driver.
No, you'll see that there's
Six
a
people,
limo.
like 6 people.
There's a limo with 3 rows and 6 people in it.
I thought it was a 2-row limo, but it's a 3-row limo, which I was like,
So that's just shit that we assume.
We just automatically assume, and we remember.
See, and that's my biggest. If I go to a therapist, that's what he's gonna tell me. You assume a bunch of shit.
but I like when he asked me that the other day, I was like, I remember 2-row, and it was 4. It was Kennedy, the wife, the mayor or government, mayor and the driver.
Yep.
But it turns out it was a 3rd row, so it was a 3-row limo, and there was more people there, like 6 people. So I was like, what the fuck? Where did I get this? Like, you get what I'm saying? Like,
where it gets more mind-blowing is that if you look up different museums throughout the country, every single limo was a replica, down to the clothes, the color, everything. Every single limo in every museum, 4 people.
That's crazy.
2 rows.
I wonder if they did it because they couldn't afford
that extra
get all the people and shit.
That is that's trippy. That's one of like the trippiest things.
But
so
nobody really knows where it stems from. You know what I mean? Where there is time travel and it creates a ripple in our president or whatever the case might be, or the government.
I like conspiracy theories because it's just like I think you just never know what happens. It's just like it just keeps you like questioning.
I don't know. Like with that type of stuff, I feel like it's kind of like the way our brain's been set up, like you said, from colors and I don't know that we start tripping, bro. Like we don't even know what the hell is going on.
Another one was like the moon landing too. Like, why the hell did we have? Like, is it not possible for us to go to the goddamn moon? Or, like, to this day, has somebody made it to the moon?
Whole take that they just took a picture of the Eddie Bravo thing that he talks about?
Well, that was one. Like,
okay.
And then like, they're saying that it was all staged and like, because the president, which was John F. Kennedy, he promised within a decade that they were going to go to the moon. But it turns out that back in the day, it was like the 60s or something, they didn't have the technology to make the rockets. That's one of the conspiracy theories, right?
Well, another thing is too, Russia had the technology, they had the know-how, but they were in this war to who got there first.
Yeah, that was the thing.
So the U.S. was like, we got to get there first. So they were like, all right, we're going to do everything within our means to be able to make it there. whether it happened or not, you know, whether they stage it or not. I mean, it had to happen. You know what I mean?
I'm telling you, it's a lot of crazy things because, first of all, they didn't have the technology. It was still, NASA was still struggling to launch these rockets. They launched about, fucking 6, 7, 8 rockets, and they're all flying crazy and blowing up. And, like, it was just a failure. So, like, 3 years, they had 3 years to deliver before the promise, you know, a decade, 10 years. They had 3 years to deliver, and the fucking NASA was nowhere near close to building that technology to get up there, you know?
But we still had pictures and the event happened basically.
Right, but there's
you can see videos. Like if you look at video footage, I think the telltale sign as to what most people kind of hang on to as to call it a conspiracy theory is the flag. If you look at, like, a flag cannot move in the vacuum of space. So when you look at the videos, you're like...
The flag is supposed to, like, if
stay still.
Stay still.
Right, but in the videos,
because there's no wind.
It moves. And they're like, wait a minute, how is this flag moving? You know what I mean? You're in the vacuum of space. So that, I think that's what conspiracy theories use to be able to hang on to that theory that we never made it to the moon.
Some CGI shit.
Well, they didn't have CGI back then. So it was probably some room. They staged everything. They made it look like it was the moon. Some video, some old school video. And then
a lot of people say it was in a studio, bro.
That's wicked.
Yeah. So it's like... why?
I mean, those things right there, like they're fun, but it's like we have no control. So it's like they're just fun, you know.
Exactly. That's the main reason why I look into
like,
it.
When it gets like the whole entertainment business and shit, when it gets to a certain level, like I am a true believer that you have to get censored. Like for example, Joe Rogan. I love Joe Rogan, and that's the homie and shit. Nah, but I feel like when there's certain shit that he can't talk about.
Well, I think
there's certain shit that his platform is too big to where he would like.
I think that's what I analyzed with Bad Bunny. Like Bad Bunny was growing up in Puerto Rico, you want to make it.
I feel like that's why Alex Jones, people look at him crazy because he just says whatever.
Yeah, and then I think Bad Bunny changed drastically because once you get to a certain level of fame and like recognition, I feel like you get to that level where you know too much, where you know, like, I didn't even know this was a thing, but in Hollywood they have a Scientology. Have you heard of it? That's a whole different mafia, bro. I was like, what? That it's a church.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, these conspiracy theories are fucking me in the brain where I'm like, whoa.
You have the Illuminati, Scientologists.
Yeah. So it's like. That's what happened with Bad Bunny. Bad Bunny was excited to become famous, to become a rapper, but when he got to that level of
fame, and power,
knowing shit, power, right, of knowing shit, I feel like that's when he changed. Like he's more woke and like, shit, like this ain't what I thought it would be, and that's why he's like more distant. He's not too much on social media anymore, and he's
like, fuck.
Have you guys ever looked up the videos?
Kyrie is one too.
Have you ever seen videos?
Kyrie Irving?
Have you guys ever seen videos of like different artists that are involved with Illuminati and like
I've seen
how they take them apart and it show you like different cues that you see that you would never notice by looking at the video. Like somebody turns around and there's like a Masonic symbol in the back.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Jay-Z is like his whole thing is like all just like about the like he says it
the triangle, the old CNI, in every
like
video, and they're there, but you don't see them. But then whenever they start kind of freezing the frames, and you're like, oh, what is that? That's satanic. That's Illuminati.
I mean, Bad Bunny, he did a music video, and it was he was all chained up with fucking. They look like devils to me. So he was all chained up and like I was like, what the fuck is
this? And to be honest,
if
you like within the hip hop community, if you see a lot of their videos are like demons, and even if you listen to the lyrics, like a lot of them say they're fighting demons and shit like that. So it's like I don't know. I used to not believe that there's people that I thought everybody was kind of like me, like you just want to be a decent person and you know there's a God and shit, but it's like no, some people really will pray to like the death and like
they got
the devil and shit. Like what the
churches
fuck?
And stuff like that. No, it's crazy.
Yeah,
I think
and even videos that you would never think that would have some sort of message like that. There's a Justin Timberlake music video, Mirrors. I don't know if you ever.
But
seen
who
it.
comes up with that? Like,
I don't know.
You know, like is it?
Like, do they?
Do you think it's like the artist? Because like, there's certain messages like that are there. So who comes up with that shit? Like. You know?
Yeah.
Well, I would
Is it
say
the director?
I would
Is
say
it-
that, like, for example, like if it's a big artist like a Young Boy or like a Juice World, like somebody that's like that, they have the label. So the label really is the one that finds the director, the
Make
producer.
sure we get this in,
So
like-
the director's the one that's coming up with the whole vision. So it's like, I think it comes down from the like
From up top.
up top, unless it's an independent artist that can just come up with his own script, like N7 and PWAP. They just shoot their videos and then they send them to Empire and then they'll distribute it.
Do you think the artists kind of play along with it? Or
Yeah,
They have to.
I
They're
feel
puppets.
like I feel like when the artist signs, they're already basically they do whatever like Birdman tells them, or whatever. Like they're stuck to their. That's why depression is such a thing. I believe in hip hop, because
we were talking about that at work. Remember?
these young kids, they sign the label, they sign to the label, and then they're just, after they see how much money their music's generating and how much they're getting, they're like, fuck, I'm getting fucked right now.
And then not only that, you're getting fucked, and you have to be a puppet. Like, you got to go to this interview, watch out what you say.
Yep.
You got to go to, like, all these crazy things. You got to watch out what you're saying, and like, it's crazy, man. Like, the same with Hollywood, bro. Like
Kodak Black is probably more peaceful in jail than he. Well, that's why he always
shit.
goes back, because he's like, fuck
yeah.
this.
The same with
Could you imagine though, like if somebody came up to you and offered you like all the money in the world?
And then to them, not just the money, like they give them like weed, whatever
Well, money
drugs
and
you want,
fame.
whatever women, like everything.
Well, just
Okay,
imagine
somebody
if they
comes
gave
to
you
me-
money and
yeah.
fame. Like, what would you do? Like, it'd be like, I'll give you all the money in the world and all the fame in the world, but you have to do this, and this, and this, and this, and that.
I think it's all like
You know what I mean?
Yeah, but see, some people,
Well,
I think
but
some
that's the
people
thing.
don't have like their like.
What would you do?
Let's say
'Cause with-
a 17-year-old young boy, like he doesn't have his whole fucking morals and ethics and all that shit in line yet. He's just like, man, fuck this. I'm trying to.
Or let's take
Get
it
out
a
the
step
bando.
further. Let's
Get
take it a
that
step
bag.
further. What about if they say, okay, I'm going to offer you all the money and fame, but you have to convert and, praise Satan?
Yeah, see, I wouldn't be. I mean, but I can see where people just fall for that
Yeah.
shit,
Yep.
but they're gonna regret it. I believe. I mean.
if it's not something that's not me, I don't.
I feel like if it takes your peace away, it's already too much. And I feel like with that, me personally, I would
priceless
be
right
like,
there.
I would feel bad all the time. Like, what the fuck? I'm really
Right.
praising to.
What if you just get dragged into it? Like,
That happens.
You know what I mean? Like, you become like Michael Jackson. Like, his fame was just like,
Yeah.
it grew exponentially before he could even.
Yeah, same
Make
with
a
happened
make
to
a
him.
decision.
that's why, like, I don't blame
Justin
too much.
Bieber. I mean, that's
Miley
kinda,
Cyrus too. I mean, she was Hannah Montana, and she blew up, and then she had to transition into this hip hop star. That's why she fucking did some crazy shit. She was twerking and doing all this fucking.
She was trying to be cool with the whole.
She was
hip-hop
trying to
crowd
fit
and
in,
shit.
yeah. And listening to her podcast with Rogan, like, you can see the level of maturity and how she's learned, and like, it's like.
And I mean, somebody like that, I feel like is gonna, as long as they want to change, they're gonna be way more valuable than somebody that hasn't gone through some shit. Cause like she can tell you all, she went through like depression, and then now.
But that's
she's,
what Hollywood does,
like,
bro. That's
It's like
that's
that's why I'm glad I stayed in
Yeah.
Oklahoma.
yeah, exactly. Because I at a certain point I wanted to go to LA, and I
Me
was
too.
like,
Well, I moved back to DC. Kind of like back to our story from earlier. Like, I was in DC, came here, and then we were talking about the cultural shock that we were experiencing,
Yeah.
and then after a few years, I decided to move back.
So fuck this shit.
And yeah, and one day I was like, all right, my family's there, why not? My ex-wife had moved back over there, and then my kids had gone over there, so I was like, I don't have anything here, let's just move. So I moved back, and I realized, I had been here from 2003 till about 2006 or 7 roughly. And that small amount of time made me realize how different a big city is. Like, having the dual, exposure,
yeah,
it wakes you up. You're like, you get there and you're like, what? It takes me an hour and a half to get to work?
Yeah.
Really? Why is everybody walking like this? Like,
that's what it feels like, huh?
Yeah, like, I'll tell you my experience. So when I moved back, I was riding my electric bicycle to be able to get to work in 22 minutes, because it would take me an hour and a half to get to work. So keep that in mind. Just to be able to get an hour and a half of my life every day, I would ride my electric bike to not be in traffic. So when I moved to Oklahoma, I was like, well, I'm never going to use this bike again, so I need to do something with it. So one day, first weekend I was here, I went to Hefner to ride my bicycle. 9.5 miles, I rode it. I kid you not, every single person that walked by me said good morning or nodded. I would have the same ride, 9.5 miles to get to work in DC. Not one person ever said to me,
everybody's too busy.
I think that's what it is, because
too much turbulence, bro.
Exactly.
That's what it is. Everybody's just
I gotta get to work, and it's a busy and fast.
I mean, let's
pace.
not go too far. Like, for example, you can put yourself in like here, for example, if you go to a busy bar, or like you can get a small dose of that. You know, there's cities that are like that, but everywhere you fucking walk, it's like, oh shit. Like,
here's another experience too. I had just moved back to DC. I wanted to take my kids in the metro because my grandpa designed it. So I was like, hey, this is your grandpa's work, blah, blah, blah.
Y'all can keep talking.
So I went back and I was like, all right, I'm going to take you on a metro ride just so we can see what it's like, this metro train. Yeah. And coming from Oklahoma, you're so used to saying, hey, good morning, hi, or nodding to somebody when you're walking by them. That's just something that you do here. I'm walking in the metro and I'm saying hi to people. And mind you, I had my 2 kids and they were probably 3 and 4. And every person is looking at me like I'm
looking
like I
at
want
you
something.
Odd and
like I want something, or just looking at me weird. One lady even grabbed her daughter and grabbed it and pulled him the other way, and walked the other way. And I'm like, I looked at myself and I'm like, I don't look like a bum, so it's not like I'm going to mug you. And I have 2 kids. It's not like I'm trying to rob you, lady.
Yeah.
I'm just saying good morning. You know what I mean? So that culture shock is something that you don't see unless you experience both places. And a lot of people are like, well, I want to get out of Oklahoma. You can get out of Oklahoma, but you're going to experience all of that. You
got to look at the pros and the cons.
The traffic, the cost of living. And I think the cost of living is what does this to people, if you ask me. Because,
they're so stressed with having to pay bills, with that they're like, man, fuck saying hi.
Here's
I got bills to pay.
Here's a perfect example. One day I was at my uncle's house, and they had his bills on the counter, and we were sitting down, and I see his mortgage statement that had come in. His payment was $6,200 for his house. I looked at my uncle and I told him I couldn't go to sleep with a $6,200 mortgage. And I'm like, wow.
That's a big chunk of your income.
Yeah,
fuck.
Think about
bro. And then you gotta. I feel like that's why certain let's say, for example, the oil field folks, you would see that they get this job and then they get the house and then they go get the big truck. And then they're going to the mall, and they're, But
see, that's the thing.
And then when this shit is over, he's got all that overhead, and then fuck, man.
That's the American culture for the most part, is debt. They're everywhere you go, advertisement, whatever. It's it's okay to be in debt. That's just the American way.
No, just apply for this
want this $40,000?
Apply for this little credit card right here.
Oh, yeah.
$50,000 truck? Get it. It's okay. Payments are low. So it's
do it.
Yeah.
You get into this culture of
this new iPhone is $1,500,
right?
But it's $45 a month or $55.
Yeah, exactly. So it's you gotta put yourself in that mentality of minimalism, the shit you just need. Don't do all that extra shit.
So both of you guys work at
Verizon.
Whenever you're in there, how do you think? Do you think I'm trying to hit these numbers, or damn, I'm about to put these motherfuckers in debt?
Well, we are competitive for sure. We like to talk numbers, so it's all what the customer wants at the end of the day.
And I think it's a fine line too, because you have to be able to take care of them. Because if you just slam them with a bunch of stuff, then they're going to leave you a negative feedback, and then that affects your pay as well. So you have to be balanced. I think kind of what he was talking about as far as everything is done on payments. People just don't working at Verizon. You'd realize that people are like, oh, I want the latest iPhone. Oh yeah, it's only $50 a month, but it doesn't really sink in until they see their bill. Have you noticed that?
No, yeah, for sure. And it's they'll have the iPhone XS, which came out last year, and they want the new one. So it's they don't realize
that how long it's gonna take them to pay that phone off.
Exactly, and your phone is good. Who the hell is? But that's the thing too. We live in a generation where
And you guys probably see that shit a lot, huh? Like, a
Every
family will come in and just buy like fucking 7 of these bitches.
Yeah, bro. And it's like,
Well, and think about that. Like how much is your payment? Think about that. How much is your payment for your phone? Like $30-$40?
Oh, that's why I got
30,
it, because I had the little,
30.
$50 a month.
But think about that. A family of 5 or 6 or 7
Yeah,
with
bro.
5 or 7 of those
Fuck.
at $30 a piece. Plus their
and
phone
what
bill.
really, the thing,
And the data,
So-
fuck, that's why people divorce and...
the thing that really irritates me and I cannot stand working in the cell phone industry is when the parents buy their kids the latest iPhone. Like, bro, that shit. Oh my God. It's like,
Are you hating? Are you hating right
I'm
now,
hating,
bro?
bro. I'm hating because, like, they don't need that shit. They
No,
can be
man,
cool with an iPhone 8.
To be honest, we don't need it.
They can be cool with an iPhone 8, bro. Like, you're, whatever.
I was watching this thing
Whatever,
today
man.
on social. How do you feel on social media? Are you big on social media?
I mean, I use it enough for my, to network and do my,
What's
the
your
YouTube
screen?
channel.
What's your screen time looking like?
Yeah, let me see that screen time. Let's put
Actually-
you on blast real quick. Like,
Actually,
today, bro, and you were right because I remember you said like on
Let's
my
see.
day off, your shit went up.
Yeah.
I was.
So today you were on it a lot.
I was guilty.
Oh, that's why you were all turbulence when you pulled up.
activity.
Yeah.
So
fucking
my
crazy.
biggest
Let me see right now. I'm about to check. This is probably gonna be most.
5 hours and 56 minutes.
Ooh, boy.
Golly, Saul.
Most of it is Robinhood because I do a
Oh
lot
yeah.
of.
Oh, so yeah.
Most of it is what?
Robinhood. So it's the stock trade.
Yeah.
Oh,
He
so
had-
that's
I
good
do-
then,
I
right?
do day trading.
Yeah, he did. He invested $3,000. I remember him showing me. I'm using $3,000 of my money to invest in stocks. He got to 11,000. So
Yeah.
that $3,000 turned
Turned
into
into 11
11.
without doing shit.
Well, not doing shit,
No.
but being on it, trading,
Yeah,
selling,
trading every
and
day.
That's pretty interesting.
So while you're at work, like if you got a little time, you just
Yeah.
fucking.
Yeah.
He's on it all the time, man. It's crazy. So, talk to us about the market because you seem to have a little bit of experience on it because you're constantly on it, selling, trading. What is your sauce? What is your trick to
So
it? What do you
I
do?
do a little bit of
Let
two
me check my
things.
screen time.
Half of it is on the regular stock market because it's open Monday through Friday, and the
So
other
on the
half-
weekends you can't sell or do
no,
anything.
it's closed. So
So what
I-
time does the stock market open?
At 8:00 if you start trading pre-market opening, and then 8:30 is when it's officially.
So that's when
open.
you start getting on your phone and you're going ham.
Yep.
From
Yep.
8 to what? My bad.
From
I'm
8
only-
till about 3:30 roughly.
Okay.
Now and then your Bitcoin, your cryptocurrency.
See, that's
market.
the shit I don't get.
It's open 7 days a week.
mid-currency.
Cryptocurrency.
Like your
Cryptocurrency.
Bitcoins and shit.
Bitcoin
Yeah, okay.
yeah.
That's it. That's
open
Free
round
market.
the clock. Yeah, and then there's no limit. There's no.
Do you have a
into it.
big chunk invested in that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I use Bitcoin to be able to do day trades, and I do the stock market to kind of ride the market. When I see the market kind of takes a dip like today, I'll invest money and then come tomorrow.
What
whenever
happened
it sells.
today?
The market took a dip. It was down like 600.
That's the
points,
thing
I think.
with
okay, so when, like, why? When? Because I hear that all the time. Oh, the market took a hit.
So
Like,
different things. Today was pretty much Trump saying that he's not gonna back up a stimulus check until after the election. So
he's
panicked
using
everybody.
it. Well,
So
he's
pe-
using
so-
it to his.
so basically, people aren't going to be spending a lot of money right now. They're not.
He's using that to his advantage so he can give votes. Like, oh, this motherfucker's gonna give us a second check.
Yeah.
Boom, votes right there.
Oh,
Nice.
genius!
Genius.
Yep. So there's a lot of things that can, curve the market.
Yeah.
Like the Apple phone, iPhone releasing a new phone that could trigger the market.
So yeah,
Tesla,
That's who. So when
Wait, so did that trigger in a positive or a negative?
either or.
So, for example, the iPhone, September 15th, that were supposed to announce, everybody thought they were going to announce the iPhone. They ended up announcing the new watches and the iPad. So, Apple stocks went down because everybody was expecting the iPhone. Now, I don't know how the fuck that shit works. Why does it go down? Why does it go down?
It's panic selling. Is what it is.
So people just start selling it?
Yeah. So, for example, let's say, Robinhood is actually pretty interesting to see on what technology has done to the stock market. Back in the days, the stock market, if you had a little bit of chunk of change and you wanted to invest in the stock market, you would go to a broker, and the broker would do all the trading. You would just be like, "Here's the money, do what you will,
Take care of that shit.
take care of it," and then he would make a fee or a commission fee for it. Right? That's long gone. Now, You could do free trades on Robinhood, and you
I
could
see
do
how
this
much-
yourself.
Okay, so what is this app that you're talking about?
Robinhood.
Robin.
I'm gonna send you a link because
Okay.
I get a free stock. I got you.
But
I got you.
But what's crazy
These
is that
fucking Puerto Ricans, bro.
I was trying to make money.
Hey man, free stock. Shit, why not?
But so I think what's changed is now that Robinhood is an open market. Anybody can go in there and make trades. But because of it, anybody can also lose money because what they go in there and do, let's say you go in there and put $2,000, right, of your money. You're like, okay, this is all my money. I have faith in Apple. Let me put it towards Apple. But then something happens and then you start seeing your $2,000 go down.
People back
You know
out.
what I mean? And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, I don't want to lose my $2,000. I'm down like $400. Let me sell out right now. So that triggers the next person to do it and the next person. The next thing you know, you have a bull run.
So they just
sell
lose a
out.
bunch of fucking money out of
Yep.
nowhere.
And the same thing can happen the other way around too. Like if, there's a trade, somebody says something on social media and they're like, oh yeah, this stock is about to go up. Like McAfee, he just got arrested, I think yesterday actually. But McAfee was a big trader.
Yeah.
Any moves that he made in the stock market or cryptocurrency, it would affect the market because if he bought something, everybody would start buying. You know what I mean?
McAfee, you said?
McAfee, John McAfee is the guy that.
Why did he go to jail?
He went to jail for not paying taxes on cryptocurrency.
These fucking millionaire bastards, man. They find ways, man.
Yeah. Didn't Shaft go to jail for tax evasion too?
I wouldn't be surprised. But the thing with the stock market, I feel like you need to learn it.
Oh, yeah.
Because like
You're not gonna just go lose some money.
I like to see. I like that. I
Hey,
like
that's-
stocks.
that
and shit,
sounds much
but-
better than the casino, though.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's basically like a casino. Remember when you, what is it,
Yeah.
a month ago or so, there was a TikTok video where they started pushing a Bitcoin currency called Dougie Coin, and it was a Bitcoin that was created out of
Nowhere.
nowhere. It was just like somebody made a Bitcoin, decided to call it Doggy, and then the icon was like a meme of a dog, and they were like, we'll see where it goes. And then that currency started picking up. Well, it didn't actually take off until somebody on TikTok said, hey, put all your money towards this, blah, blah, blah. We're going to get rich together. And the next thing you know, all the kids are, hyping it. Next thing you know, this coin is just like taking off. And I mean,
So these dudes
Going
just
sky
started
high.
their own currency.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, what's interesting about that is that how social media can trigger the stock market to go up or down, which like 5 years ago or 10 years ago,
That
if
wasn't
a CEO did that. Remember Martha Stewart when she went to jail?
Yeah.
That's basically what she went to jail for because
She was doing fraud with it.
No, somebody told her, he's like, hey, you might want to sell this stock or whatever because it's about to go down. And she's like, all right, let me sell. And boom, she sold it. So it's called insider trading. But nobody frowns upon whenever insider trading happens in public social media. So it's interesting how the market is this year has been one of the craziest years for the stock market, not only because social media can affect
COVID
us,
and all that.
COVID can affect it, and I mean, and even impulse buying or impulse selling from people that are not familiar with stock trading. Like once he sends you that link, boom, you're in the market. You could invest $1 on Apple or $1,000, but that doesn't mean that you know much about trading, and you could, you have the impulse buy or impulse sell.
Yeah.
It's learning, like, because it's interesting because, man, he spends a lot of time on that shit. And it's like, I want to get into it, but I don't got the time to be like, all right, now it's time to sell, now it's time to buy, now it's time to sell.
You're running a
And
whole portfolio, basically.
fuck.
Yeah.
So the whole social media thing, how do you feel about social media? Like, what are your
We're talking
positive, negative?
about, we're talking about conspiracy theories.
No,
or
no, no.
we're
Just
talking-
like, how do you feel
Social
about
media
it?
in general and our devices.
Like, would you let your kids have social media and all that?
They are on social media right now. And I mean, as a parent, like you want to control what they do, but growing up, I mean, it's one of those things like, you're going to do what you're going to do regardless of what your parents tell you.
Yeah.
Right? Whether it's
You're going to
on
watch
your
porn,
phone,
masturbate,
you know,
all the fucking
do all the stuff,
shit you
you
do
know.
as a teenager.
You
That's
know,
just what it is.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
So you just have to make sure that you don't, that your son doesn't end up being kidnapped or, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or
I think that would be my main concern as a parent because I see these videos and Amber Alerts and stuff, and that shit is scary. Like, fuck.
It is real. Like,
It's real.
Like the other day, I took, like, my son has a rule. Like, he's got that electric bike that I bought in DC. He it loves that thing, because it's a normal bike, but it goes faster.
Yeah.
But I have this rule where I don't allow him to go anywhere by himself for many reasons. I mean, for one, it's an expensive bike. Anybody can mug him, or the fact that, Oklahoma is one of the highest states for kidnapping. They take kids and then they
So
sell,
we're one of the highest
sell
states?
their organs and shit.
Oh yeah, they sell the organs in the black market.
I saw a list of the prices of how much an eyeball and all that shit is, bro. And
you can go on the dark web and literally buy anything you want, any part you want from any human. It is crazy, and that is fed by this industry.
How much is an eye?
I don't know their list. I deleted all my shit, so I don't know. But it was crazy, bro. It was like expensive. It wasn't $100. It was like up there $3,000, $6,000.
Yeah.
But that's messed up, man.
But it's real.
But it's real. It is.
And the other day when me and my son and one of my best friends went riding all the way downtown and back, and we went through this little trail, and my son just took off ahead of us, and I'm like, where's Armand? And we're looking for him, and he comes back around the corner, and he's like, hey, Dad, this guy just walked up to me and asked me if I want to buy some beer. You know what I mean? Now, he could have been selling beer. He could have been trying to lure him into a van, and then next thing
you never
he's
know what
gone.
it could be, man.
But it happens more. I mean, just look at Walmart.
Selling beer, that's a good one because that's what teenagers like. They were looking for.
Yeah.
So that was definitely was a catfish. They were trying to get him into a van or some shit.
But you see what I'm saying? That can easily happen on an instant. And
man.
Oklahoma is a big state for that.
I was watching because I started this I just got rid of all my social media shit. And,
how's that going, bro?
It's going good.
What did you get rid of? Facebook?
Everything.
So I personally got rid of Facebook about a year and a half ago, completely, and have not looked back. Now I am on Instagram. I don't do Snapchat much.
And I'll probably come back to like Instagram or some shit. But I'm just the thing. I was watching a video where this guy was telling you, like, I guess he never had social media. This whole time he's never had social media, like since it came around. So he gave you like 3 reasons why people say it's okay to have social media. And I'll send you guys the video because it's fucking interesting. But the biggest one was, it doesn't cause no harm. That's what most of us say that. Like, it doesn't cause no harm, you know, it's just, but he's like, bullshit. It does cause harm. Like, if you look at all the research and shit that it does, I'm like, what the fuck, bro? We're getting fucked by social media because it's like the casino. It's like the people that develop this shit they develop it so our brain gets addicted to it. Like
that's what I told you last time, bro. If you watch,
see, why do we keep using it? Like, if you know this, why do you still have your apps?
That's what I'm saying. Like I told you about the Netflix social media dilemma. Watch it. It's just the same shit. Like, it gives you like all this. Like, they're collecting our data. They're collecting it. And I probably am using this as a bullshit ass excuse, but it's to promote this shit.
Okay.
But then that leads to me, after I promote, keep scrolling.
Yeah.
Like, I'm aware of it.
Yeah.
I'm trying to control it.
But see, what that dude was saying is that you don't need social media if you have a product or if it's quality product, it'll get out there type shit.
That's what I wanted.
Because you think Joe Rogan is really active on his Facebook?
Yeah, he is. He is.
He is? Like, he's actually on Facebook?
He'll post a picture, like, oh, we had this guest.
But that's like on his page, on his, like, business page. He doesn't have, like a Facebook profile, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I want to get to that point. I want to get to that point that I have somebody running the social media. Like, fuck all that shit. Like, I want to get to that point. Because, it's like I said, I'll use it to promote it, and then I'll end up getting distracted. And then I'm like, fuck. Like,
so why did you delete your Facebook?
Well, my main reason was kind of like him. I noticed that it was taking all of my time. Like, it's one of those things that kind of drew you in, and then you were just like browsing and browsing. Next thing you know, you're like, all right, I'm going to, do a little browsing before I go to bed. Next thing you know, it's 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning. So after a while, since I have a lot of stuff going on between cars, music, kids, stock trading, I was just like, I just don't have the time.
Yeah.
And personally, I just didn't see the point either because I felt like, I guess, pulling away from the music industry when I stopped DJing, I realized that a lot of friends kind of went away because they were friends with benefits, if you will.
Yeah.
Like, they wanted something that I had to offer, but when I stopped DJing, they completely stopped. So I was like, all right, well, if these people have an interest,
Fuckers.
yeah, if these people are my friends just for that interest, then I don't need them as a friend. So I literally just purged. I was like, I'm gonna turn it off, see how many people see I'm going or not. And the people that call me are the ones that I'm still friend to
see,
this
that's
day.
cool. That's what I've been liking lately, because I don't like the past few days I haven't felt like clouded with like too much shit. Like I'm just like,
That's cool.
I'm not getting the whole notifications.
You get to see even family. Even family.
No, that's the thing that if you notice when you like see like so and so posted a story on their Instagram.
Oh, you're tuned in, bro, because you get
they do that. They do that.
You basically, if you have the app, it'll say J Poe just went live or
exactly.
Whoever. So you're like, oh shit, boom, and then
so and so posted a story, and you're like, oh, boom, there you are. It's like they do that shit on purpose, or you have a memory to look back on Facebook.
One of the things that was big on there, it makes you feel connected to people, but you're really not connected.
You're really not connected.
It creates, and then
it's like you said, like the bar industry and the whole people feel connected because you're in there drinking and you're in there like yeah. But then once you're gone, it's like
So ever since the social media became a big thing, there's been higher depression, higher suicide.
Yeah,
teenagers they're not going to get their driver's license. Can you believe that?
Yep.
They're like less and less teenagers.
Why? Why are they doing that?
I don't know.
I've seen that too. I've seen that. Like, bro, you got a badass fucking car, but you don't have a license?
Exactly. It's all social media. Like, they're not too confident. They're not dating. They're not socializing. They're stuck on their phones. All social media.
Yep. It creates that
depression.
That's why I love growing up in the 90s. Like, I was not growing up in the 90s, but I was born in the 90s because we got to see
Foursquare and tetherball and shit.
We fucking saw that transition. We saw the big TVs become a fucking thin ass TV. Yeah. We saw the walkie talkies or fucking pagers. All that shit. We saw the evolution.
You had to connect with people in a different way that you do now. And remember, you were saying something about that. It draws you in, and then it. So essentially, what it does is every time you hit the like button, it
creates like a dopamine or some shit.
It creates a rush of dopamine, and dopamine is what makes you feel happy, content.
Yep.
So imagine people get addicted to this,
or even seeing it, like hitting the like button,
I'm not
seeing it.
Yeah, like this is like 2 days of me with no social media, bro. So I know. I mean, there's moments where I'm like. So, like, even taking a shit, I'm sitting there like, oh, shit, what the fuck am I going to do now?
Yeah. But think of it like this. Think of that feeling back when you were a teenager. And teenagers are savage. I mean, when you're in that age between, like, 14, 15, like, they're savage. Like, if they're not your friends, they're your enemies, basically. Yeah. Like, they're cruel as hell. So imagine if they do that on social media and you don't have a way to see, like, the meaning behind what they're saying. They can say something that is really, really hurtful. And it can affect someone for the rest of their lives.
When they wouldn't say it in your, like, if it was like person to person, they wouldn't say no stupid shit.
Yeah, and you also notice that your shits tend to take a little bit longer. Like, you're done. You were done 15 minutes ago, but you're sitting there fucking scrolling. Your fucking ass is still full of shit. You need to clean it, but you're still on your phone. Like, I've been there for sure.
He lost sensation in the legs. And
bro,
can't even
for
walk
real.
down the stairs.
Like, these fucking phones, man, it's a good and bad thing. Like, the good thing that I would say is like as far as Facebook, like I've been able to connect with friends that like I went to high school, elementary school, like, oh shit, like damn, it's good to see you or good to chat with you and shit. But other than that, maybe to promote my business. But
let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Are you really connecting with them?
Not really. Just to see, hey, what's up?
That's what I'm saying. That's a superficial feeling because just because they're on your friends list, and you see their pictures and their families or what they've done, and you maybe exchange a couple words here and there. Makes you feel connected, but are you really connected?
Yeah, man.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's what I noticed when I completely cut off my Facebook, is that only the people
real
that
ones
really cared are the ones that called me.
Call you or message you, yeah.
And they call me on a, not every day, but we talk, every couple months. Even family members call me and call and check up on me. But whenever you're on social media, you don't do that. Right. Even yourself.
You don't even know you're basically clouded with all this shit.
And you might have the best intentions to be close to like your family or relatives, but just because you know that they're in your friends list and you feel like you're connected to them in one way or another, but that doesn't mean you're connected. It just means that you are on somebody's friends list. But
I mean, even like just the whole, I don't see people just pull up anymore. You know, like it's rare when, well, I guess here it's not, because I still try to keep the old school fucking vibes, you know, but it's rare for somebody to be like, just, you know, fucking pull up on you somewhere and be like, I don't want nothing from you, bro. I'm just like, how you doing?
As a teenager, imagine what that's like. You know what I mean? Like when all you do and the only way you interact with someone is via text.
That's what I used to do. Man. Exactly. I used to pull up to my homie.
Yeah.
He used to live 2 houses down.
Let's say and I would just pull up. When you had bikes, you know, you'd be like, let me go see if this nigga a pedio somewhere or whoever. Yeah. You get on your bike and you would like even knock on the door and then be like, and then if that nigga didn't want to kick it with me, he'll just tell his mom like, nah, tell him I'm not here, you know.
Or I'm sleeping or some shit.
So I'd be like, fuck it, I'll come back later.
So interesting thing that I noticed 2 days ago is that I was running around with my son. We were just running errands, and we just happened to be in Edmond down the street from where his best friend lives. And I was like, hey, why don't you just hit him up and we'll go get some ice cream? He's like, what? Like, he was like,
that's weird, eh?
Like, exactly. And I literally picked him up, and then he had another friend over. We all went to Brahms to have ice cream, and you see these kids interact with each other, and they're like,
don't know what to say.
They don't know what to say to each other. And I'm like, wow, like, because it's not like you go to your homie's house and then you're just like kicking it. Like these kids legitimately didn't know what to say to each other, having ice cream, and didn't know what to do during
like have a normal conversation.
Yeah.
Like
one of my friends, he'll put it on
crazy.
Snapchat all the time, and he'll be like, kids nowadays, and then it's like they're just both on the like they're on the couch, but one of them is on this side on the tablet, and then one of them is on this side on the tablet. When, like, I was young, we'd be on the PlayStation together, you know, talking shit, like, what the fuck?
Now it's online. Like, if they're on the PlayStation, he's in it at his house. They don't come, like, I would go to my homie's house. Bro,
like,
let's go and play this game.
My parents
My
parents would be pissed because I'd have a room full of fucking all musty and shit.
Have you guys ever gone to, like, a family reunion, and then you see, like, all the older people talking and having the time of their lives, and then you have the younger generation all sitting in the couch with their phones like this?
Yeah.
Or you're getting fucked up on Snapchat, like putting the shots on there.
That was another one, man. Yeah, especially Snapchat. And it's like, I gotten a lot better with that during, like, it took me time. But to not be fucking, first of all, in everybody's business, watching every goddamn single snap.
That's why I had to just cut the apps out. Like, I just deleted them. Because if I have them, I'm going to look in there. Yeah. It's like with anything. Like, if I have some weed, I'm going to smoke that shit. The beer, that's why I got rid of that shit. Because I was like, if it's there, I'm going to drink it.
I'm fucking proud of you for that, bro. Because it takes a lot. You know, it takes a lot to just cut the shit. Realize to start with, you know, like, all right, I need to stop this shit. Yeah, I have a fucking problem. I need to stop this shit. And it's one of the biggest things that everybody's addicted to. Like social media, you just cut it off and shit. And it's like, now you're going to do you haven't drank?
I haven't yet.
Because the largest margin have you done was 11 days, right?
Yeah.
So are you looking to break that record?
Yeah, let's see.
Let's do it. Let's fucking do it. Yeah, you already got caught on fucking tape. So I'm going to hold you accountable to that shit. But yeah, a lot of interesting things, man. So when it comes to this topic, and it's going to be, we were talking about the other day about time travel. Mm-hmm. You think that's a thing? You even think we travel in time? That's what we talked about?
Yeah, like, there's so many, I mean, if you look online, there's a lot of videos that can probably justify somebody believing that. But then again, there's the deep fake videos that you can make anyone say anything at any given time with some video editing too.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? So you don't know what to trust. And I'm one of those people that I don't believe in anything, but I also don't turn down anything because you just never know. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like you were saying earlier, like presidents might know something that we don't know, or people with money might know something we don't know. And then, I mean, think of it like this.
Who do you think is above the president?
As far as knowing?
As far as power, you think is it the
Wait,
CIA?
let him finish that thought, because we do this shit a lot.
Oh yeah, my bad. See, that's the turbulence right there. One thing.
But I mean, what I was saying is,
as far as time travel,
think of it like this though. Like, I'll give you an example. Let's say you were the president of the United States, right? And you just found out that aliens were a thing, and we were harboring since the what is that thing that happened in the '60s in Arizona?
So basically, I'm the president, and I just found out
the aliens exist, and you just got that put in your lap. And would you tell everybody?
Oh, okay, yeah.
Like, would you come out in public?
I'd probably be a terrible fucking president because I would be. I'll probably
But think of what it can do to the rest of to everything. Think of it like this: the repercussions. We were talking about the stock market. If you went in the air live and said,
"But what would aliens do?"
But that's the thing, though. I feel like that's why I ask you the question, like, is there a power above the president? Because I feel like there's got to be, out of the 50 presidents or whatever fucking presidents we're in right now, there's got to be one that was like, man, I want to tell everybody there's an alien, but they're like, it's classified.
You think
you
Kennedy?
can't say that
and
shit.
see, bro, that's why there's those people like Alex Jones that are like, oh, he told that dude, he was like, if you want to come to the United States, I'll teach you how to shoot a rifle, and you can become a good old what do you say,
patriot. Yeah,
like that's what he's about. Is like he believes that I think the people should know. They should know everything. What he's mad about is that type of shit. Like, there was aliens, or why are you hiding them, or why are you?
But I think that's not. I don't think it's up to the president. I think it's. I want it.
It is
based
to
on
an extent, though.
Well, to an extent, but I think there's conspiracy theories that say like it's CIA. The CIA is the one that's above.
CIA responds to the president. I think if anyone,
they respond to but
if anyone was above the president when it comes to making global decisions, I would say it would be like the United Nations, or maybe even the people behind the World Bank, the very, very wealthy people behind, like the Rothschild family or the Chase family. These people have money beyond Elon Musk and all
Bezos and shit.
So they're the ones that have the monetary power to be able to manipulate anything in the world. But to the question that I was saying, like, imagine if somebody told you, okay, we do have aliens. What are you going to do with that information? Like, you couldn't just come out to the public and say, yeah, it is true. Because think about what it could trigger. It could trigger the stock market to plummet. Think of what it could do to religion as a whole. Think about how religion, the Bible says there's a God and Jesus was his son.
So what you're saying that if, like, as a president, I would throw everything off if I told them that there's aliens.
Exactly. Like, think of it like biblical, like the Bible, for example, right? Regardless of your religious belief, you believe there's a God, there's a son, and the humans were built to God's image, right? So if there was an alien, and let's just say, hypothetically speaking, they look like the little green things.
Yeah.
What it would do to religion? It would literally debunk religion and think of what it could do globally.
People would be confused as fuck.
Yeah,
it would literally cause
chaos,
mass chaos. I mean, think about it. The Mormons, the Muslims, all of them are gonna be like, where did this come from? Like, who are these people? Like, if there's no God and the humans aren't built, they weren't made to God's image, it would destroy religion as a whole. Like, it would literally put an end to it. From that point forward, it would just literally. You would know.
Eric comes out with a suit. Well, I believe there's aliens. I discovered that ET is alive. Like,
smoking the blunt and the little blue dragon.
Yeah, and discovered that we do. It's in Area 51. Like, man. Now people are really gonna storm that bitch.
I'm gonna throw a wrench your way. What if aliens didn't look like the green monsters? What if they were like you and me?
Yeah.
What if they were from another planet?
So what you're saying is that at that point, the president probably was like, nah, fuck that. I'm not about to have that on my plate. So he was just like, let's just hide this shit.
Think about how he handled coronavirus. This October, November last year, December, like, there was talks on the media about there's this virus and it's expanding, blah, blah, blah. So you saw that on the news. Everything was hush-hush. January, same thing. February. It wasn't until March where...
It blew up.
And Trump said, "Oh, yeah, we got to do something about this," and boom, and then you saw the stock market how it crashed, biggest crash in history.
And he hadn't done it because he already knew that was going to happen.
Exactly. I actually, come January, as soon as I saw that it was coming out of China, I literally went to my 401k and I kid you not, moved everything to bonds. I took everything from all the different selections that I had and moved everything to bond because I was like, if the market crashes, I want my losses to be minimal. And boom, come March 18, it crashed.
Yeah.
Like, the moment the president acknowledged coronavirus, everybody just. But that's what I'm saying. Like, imagine if something like that happened. Like, if
it would fuck everything up, basically.
Everything. And I mean, look at months later. I mean, granted, coronavirus is still here, but even now, he's still kind of in denial. He's trying to low play it. I mean, not to.
He just got it.
Yeah. Well, man, fuck. It's because it's like the United States is just a big ass company, like. So it's like you can't just make like when we worked at Gold's, you can't just make one decision or you guys at Verizon, you can't just fucking
exactly. It's
like,
above your pay
fire
grade.
3 employees because then you're gonna be short staffed and shit. You know, even though you find out that they're
like,
shitty employees.
Yeah.
To his point, like imagine if time travel was a thing and they've been experimenting and they've been testing this for years and they've been doing this and that's the reason why we have all these Mandela effects. They wouldn't come out and say it. You know what I mean? And
They'll
there wouldn't
just do
be
it.
Yeah, and there wouldn't be any proof about it. And even if there was, whoever came out and say, "Oh, this is my proof," everybody looked at him like they would be crazy.
Like Alex Jones.
A lot of people.
Poor guy.
Yeah, there's a lot of people. There's a lot of like even big.
But only the real ones fuck with him.
For real.
The real ones that he has a fan base behind him, and it's like, yeah, I appreciate what he does.
Yeah,
you know,
man.
we need people like him. Most of the time, I'm surprised he's still alive, but most of the time they'll put him down. They'll put people like him down. Like, that's another thing, man. It's, whew. I mean, another one was a Bruce Lee thing. The way he died, they say he took some pills and died, but some other conspiracy theories say that it had to do with the mafia in China and shit. Like,
he was too powerful.
It was just like this guy over here, you know, trying to be famous and shit. Like, he has to pay either the mafia rent or protection. So it caused,
he basically paved his own way, and then it was give me some money, basically.
Yeah, and then the mafia wanted some money, so it turned out to be like this weird, you know, because he was planning a movie with somebody, according to, you know, the stories and stuff. He was planning this movie, and they were getting an actress in that I guess she was famous too, and his manager left him alone with the chick, and it turned out to be some crazy shit where he took some pills, but
that boy was trying to get crazy.
Yeah. I'm just saying, like, it's a lot of crazy shit, man. So I don't know, man. It's a lot.
I believe in some of the stuff, but I take it with a grain of salt.
Exactly.
You
That's
know
what I
mean.
do
I'm
too.
open to hearing what anybody has to say about anything.
Same.
But unless I see
It's
it
fun.
with my own eyes,
It's fun.
Yeah.
It's fun to sit. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, I'll look at documentaries and like analyze and take my take, not what the fucking documentary says. I'll be like, all right, how true is this? What makes sense? What doesn't? And then just
you gotta do your own
I'm
research.
still live. Yeah, I do my own research, and I'll still live my life. I'm not gonna be like, oh fuck, like this world is crazy. Like, fuck.
I've always been that way. Even when I was little in Bolivia, I went to a Catholic school, and I kid you not, I got kicked out because I kept doing my research.
You were questioning shit.
I questioned everything. Like, I started questioning them about the Dark Ages and how come, you know, religion was killing people that didn't believe in this religion, and how they were making these, like, I mean, they were like literally taking sticks and putting them up people's ass and then putting them in the middle of a city and then burn them to death because they didn't believe in, you know, Catholicism.
So you were
know?
asking them, like,
So
why were they doing shit
right.
like this?
I'm like, why? You know what I mean? So I kept asking so many questions to the point that I got kicked out eventually. But, you know,
they were like, you better get out of here before we fucking burn you and put you on a stick, boy.
basically. But and it's just like with anything. Like he was saying, like, I'm open to everything.
You're pretty open-minded when it comes to these kind of topics, and like listening to stories, conspiracy theories, and stuff like that. I think.
Did you go to college?
Mm-hmm.
Are you sending your kids to college?
I want to, but
It's all up to them.
yeah, it's all up to them.
What'd you go to college for?
Well, initially computer science, but then I switched to computer graphics and animation, and I got a minor in IT.
What was the last one?
IT.
IT?
Mm-hmm.
And then that's what you're actually using it? Like, that's what you're...
I actually used, right out of college, I used the computer graphics more. I started a multimedia company to do, like, pretty much all the logos and stationery and all the design, like pretty much the front face of most companies. So like, for example, McDonald's had the M logo, and you had to make everything behind it. I would go to companies that were just being built, or somebody that was starting a little company, and be like, all right, I will create everything, your whole persona.
The whole image,
the whole image of a company. So I did that for a few years until I moved to Oklahoma, and then when I moved to Oklahoma, I did printing for a long time.
Okay.
So
Telling you, man. We, as of right now, we've been here for an hour and 38 minutes. We covered a fucking lot.
That was a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
We talked a lot.
Yeah. Like, anything else you guys want to cover?
Man, I think we talked about everything. If anything, the college thing, that was. Do you think college is necessary?
I honestly do not, because
Like, it goes down to like depending on the profession, because
I mean, like you basically told me you went to college and then you did all this and stuff, but at the end of the day, you ended up.
Here's the thing. Like my school was $40,000 a year, right? And I got a scholarship for it. Had I not gotten a scholarship for it,
you took advantage.
I would have been mad that I had to pay that kind of money, because think about it. I graduated with a major in computer graphics and animation. I never worked on any type of animation industry. I ended up doing graphic design, which I could have learned at any trade school.
Yeah.
And ended up doing printing, which I could have learned that.
Got a screen print press. And
I could have gotten a part-time job at a printing press and then learned that myself. You know what I mean? And then I went into sales, because sales has always been a passion of mine in music.
Yeah.
So I was like, so I honestly don't think college is for everybody. It is for some. Like if you're keen on like science, right, and you can make a living making a vaccine for coronavirus,
or if you're gonna be a dentist, or
I don't know about dentists.
Do you need?
Do you do right? Like to be a dentist, you gotta have like a bachelor's.
Yeah, because it's a doctor, no?
Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
You have to.
It's a doctor, yeah.
Dentists be making money, bro.
Yeah. You gotta keep them clean, like them teeth clean, man.
But think about a lot of industries where you don't need a college degree and you can make a lot of money.
Plumbers make a lot of money.
Plumbers, anybody that starts
Mechanics.
a business can make a good living. Anybody that's in sales, any type of sales, whether it's cell phones, whether it's real estate sales, or any type of
craftsmanship stuff. If you're really good at it, like
anybody in sales. Like we just met a guy that sells tools, makes $150,000 a year selling tools of a truck. Like,
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like you don't think a lot of the people that are in this industries, that guy probably went to college for something else and then now makes more money doing something else.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of people that go to college and they just go to college because that's what they're being told. That's what the society wants you to do. System, like everything, if you think about it, is geared towards school, and they drill it to you that you have to go to college or else, right? Yeah. But they don't teach you the fundamentals. Like, for example, like I was having a talk with someone else the other day. I believe that if I would have had someone talk to me when I was in 10th grade, 11th grade, or 12th grade about taxes, about credit, about how to start a business, how business credit works, or any of those 5 fundamental things that you would think that
like
they
the
would
whole
teach you in school.
The sales, maybe like a small little sales thing.
Yeah. So you like. If somebody would have taught me that, I honestly can tell you that I probably wouldn't have gone to college. I probably would have started a business. I probably would have, been a lot further than now. I mean, look how many cars I've had. If I would have vlogged about it 10 years ago, 15 years ago, I would have been up there with those. You would have already
had a YouTube channel. So,
exactly. Yeah. So, like, there's different ways that you can make money, and I think it's just a society. Like, even right now, doing homeschooling with the kids, I realized that the whole system is set up to be able to, everything revolves around money. Schools are set up to not teach you anything other than pass a test, a state test, so they could get money.
So right now you're going through that whole process of homeschooling and stuff.
Exactly. So
how is that? Tell us about that.
It's an eye opener, because like I was saying, is like, I'm like, none of this stuff is relevant to their future.
And how much information are they retaining behind the screen?
Exactly. And most of it is not something that they're going to use on a day-to-day basis, or that is going to teach them anything for their future or livelihood. So it's an eye-opener.
And see, that's crazy, because it's coming from like an educated person that is out there in the real world selling, making a living. You know what I'm saying? That's fucking crazy.
Yeah. And that's another thing. It's just, it bogs my mind how, like, I guess in a way it's just how society is meant to work. Like if you think about it, somebody's meant to have a company, right? Somebody's meant to have workers for that company. And then those workers have to have less knowledge than the person that made that company so they can keep the gears running. Yeah. That way taxes can be paid to the government. That person can own that business and they can provide for those people. That way they can provide for their families and bring, and keep the lights on and have a roof over their head. But if you think about it, if everybody knew how to open a business and if everybody had that common knowledge, you'll be less likely to work for somebody. You'll be more likely to open your business.
Yep.
And there'll be less people going to college. And think about the
trickle
effect.
Or if you do end up getting a job, you'll get paid more than just like an average person that doesn't know shit. You know what I'm saying? You're not starting at basic salary. Like you can start a little.
Yeah.
Damn. No, it's a lot. I think it's we're gonna have next. We're gonna have my homie. He's a teacher. He teaches and he's doing the online thing. So we had a couple of parents request to have a teacher and kind of explain and break down because they've been struggling with the homeschooling.
That shit is frustrating, man.
It is.
That's one thing that I was thinking about. I'm like, bro, how? Like it's crazy that teachers have to go to school and go through a whole process to even become a teacher. So out of nowhere, now parents became teachers. Like,
yeah. Yep.
Like what if my dad was a special ed ass nigga? You know what I'm talking about? Like,
yeah. And you have to also remember that, like, for example, the math that I learned when I was in college is completely different than the math that they're teaching today. So, like, a lot of times I'm looking at this math homework that they're having, and I'm like, what is happening here? Like, I know how to get the result, but all this extra stuff and all these steps that they've come up with is a different type of math. So math has changed. The end result is the same, but the math itself has changed. So,
and it's crazy, bro, because I know what you're talking about. I remember being in math class, and I'd get in trouble we would get in trouble if we didn't write out the whole, like, our math teacher wanted us to write like every whole fucking equation, and he wanted to see how we got to where like certain kids were smart, so they were like, I don't need to do that step because I already know, so
the result.
And he would be like, no, I still want to see that you know how to get everything. So I'd be like, damn, bro. So we'd have these fucking long ass equations and shit. Like,
so imagine if you had a kid that got dropped off and then you had to help them with homework. How that would be. That's how every parent is having to go through right now. And it's tough. Like my daughter has a hard time also focusing. That's a big thing. Like my boys can do the homework real quick. 20 minutes, hour and a half, they get it knocked out, and they're playing video games. My daughter she can wake up doing homework and go to sleep doing homework, and she still won't get it done. Because she just can't focus.
Everybody learns different.
Everybody learns different.
Yeah. Hey, respect to all the teachers out there that are good teachers, because, man, I remember I used to make my math teacher fucking angry.
Miserable and shit.
Shout out to Mr. Stafford.
Yeah.
Now, can you imagine the teachers with what's going on their end, too? Because imagine now you went from having 25 to 30 kids to having 300 kids that you have to grade. You don't see them. You just see their grades and their papers and everything they do online. You know what I mean? Weird. And then half of them are not technologically savvy.
Definitely a historic fucking moment. Like,
to be honest, I think all these little fuckers are gonna fail. Like,
I don't think they're gonna fail because they've learned to cheat. There's websites out there that give you their answers.
Yeah.
If anything, I think
they won't retain any information.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
They won't retain information.
Yeah,
they won't retain information, and I think what's going to do is going to train them to try to cheat.
And I think the parents are eventually going to say "fuck it" too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, take your ass back to school.
Let's look for these fucking answers and just fuck it.
Now, can you imagine what will happen if a lot of these parents get tired of it and eventually like, forget about it, just go back to school?
Bro, because some of my friends, they've been like really frustrated. They'll be like just because it, like, some kids really have trouble learning. Like, I think he said,
it's hard to, like, when you're behind a tablet.
He was like, it was a pond in the lake. So I told him it starts with a P. So he says lake. I'm like, bro, what are you talking about? Like,
it's hard.
A P and an L are two complete different things.
Yeah, like, it's having the teacher there, and if the teacher does a good job of keeping the students engaged while they're in class, that's all right. You can get some information.
And then I was telling him, I was like, bro, imagine that's your son. A teacher has to deal with like 20 of these kids in one time. So
another thing too is like you have to going back to the social media talk that we were talking about, social media has trained these kids to have a very short attention span.
Attention span, that's what
Yep.
it is.
So like think about it, like TikTok is designed to be just a short video that could catch your attention and then go from one to another. So Snapchat, same thing. So all of this social media that they're involved in submerged is teaching them to have a short attention span, but all the classes and all the learning and everything that they have is a long form. Oh. So that's why kids are struggling, is because they can't keep that attention span. So like it's going to take an effect.
Like write an essay of this fucking long or whatever, and like you think the kid is going to have time to just write all that crazy like.
And it's crazy, man, because I remember thankfully I went to like a school where they actually taught you. But I remember at U.S. Grant, they had to do a final paper. That was how they would graduate. And I cut hair, so I would have these kids that be like, bro, we have to write this paper, and I'm not going to graduate if I don't write it. Like, how do I do this shit? Like, that's how they're going to graduate, but they don't know how the fuck. And they figure out how to do it. Like, some of them, I would help them, or, they'll cheat to fucking do it, but they'll pass. But I'm like, whoa. Like,
no, it's crazy.
Now, picture this, like 5 years down the road or 10 years down the road, with these kids go to the work
society, bro.
Society, like with attention span of a fish, and they don't know anything but to pass this test, but it didn't help them at all. You know what I mean? So it's reshaping our future in a way that is not good, like in my opinion.
Yeah, man, I agree.
We'll just have to wait and see. There's not much we can do at this point, because it's, it is what it is, So let's go ahead and wrap this up, because it's been quite the minute. We're about to hit the 2 hour mark, and I don't want to edit this shit. So, it was a good ass conversation. So I appreciate you for taking the time to give us the good, the good stuff, the good information. It's definitely going to be a fun one to edit. So appreciate you, man. We're going to go ahead and wrap this up. Oh, shit. God damn. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to wrap this up.
Peace. I'm dropping everything.